Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Twisted Koi. Good morning to those who are over in the United States. How are we doing on this very brisk Sunday? Joining me are the fish at the moment. I did speak with Ty last night, and Ty will be joining us shortly once he gets out of his pit. But how are we doing out there, guys and girls? Been hectic and busy here as always. Let's have a quick look, see who we got in the comments with us. How we doing, Gwen? Alan Elliott, Cabby, Jack's over in the US of A. Ollie's in. How are we doing, bud? Well, once I come off the live, we'll be going back out into the back garden to get some more done. Haven't done anything this morning because I had my man Stu Bob. He came round this morning and had a look at the pond walls. Everyone that's joining in. He came round and had a look at the pond walls, told me what I'm going to need to get them rendered so we can get on and start getting the tiling done. I was going to get the framework in before the tiling, but after a visit from Davey, Black Country Koi bloke, he actually suggested wait till I've got the tops on and then drill a hole down into the blockwork and then drop in a piece of rebar and then drill into the bottom of the post, put a couple of washers between the tile and the post, and then do all my woodwork like that. And I can see what he's saying. It will become a hell of a lot neater. So that is very special guest.
I'm on the wrong bloody channel.
Hey, no. He's on. How we doing, brother?
Not bad. Not bad.
Welcome to Sunday afternoon.
Wow, it's an unusual treat, isn't it?
It is, mate. I'm blown away. Absolutely chuffed to bits. Well, as you can see, the pond is looking awesome.
Good stuff, mate. Some nice fish you got in there. Where's that kahaku from?
The kahaku's in there. Don't you panic. Like I say,
mate.
Stu Bob came round to look at the pond walls for the old rendering, and he was like trying to twist my arm because he fell in love with that kahaku, and I'm like, no.
Sell it, whatever, mate. Isn't it?
No fucking way.
No way.
No way. It's a fucking beautiful kahaku, bro. It really does pop in the pond. It really does. And yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I just had a first this morning.
Yeah, what's that then?
Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Afternoon,
being back on the farm, isn't it?
So, what was your first this morning then?
Me and Ez went over for a few games of squash, and he beat me.
Yeah, he gave you a real good kicking, did he?
Not a good kicking, and we ended up 4 games to 3, but he beat me.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm being beaten by a 10-year-old.
You did say it was going to happen, didn't you?
I knew it was coming, but yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, while he's there, tell him there's a present coming in tomorrow for him from me mum.
I do. He's not here, mate. That's why I'm on this. He's gone now. He's round his mates. Zoe's at work. He's there. All I've got to do is cook dinner and do some housework. So
you thought the housework will go later?
I've jumped on here instead, haven't I?
Yeah. Absolutely awesome.
Ty.
How are we doing, Ty?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, absolutely flying along.
Right on.
So you've not been down
Rick?
the farm today, then, Rick?
I have been. Yeah, I've just come back. So
Everything all right?
cold, but all right.
Good, good, good. Well, it's the first time you've met Ty. Ty, this is the lesson with Ricardo.
I'd shake your hand, but I obviously
The
can't.
infamous Rick.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
Afternoon, Ken.
I was watching you on Gaz's live stream earlier this week.
I get everywhere, don't I?
Yeah. Hey, you seems like you know a thing or two.
Well, thing or two about something.
Well, if there's anything you want to know, Ty, you want to ask him now.
I should have come prepared. I did.
Hey, mate.
I didn't know either.
He even surprised me when he popped up in backstage. I was like, wow, get in.
Oh, right on.
There you go.
Well, the IBC tank is out of the garden.
Oh, we'll be loading up tomorrow then.
Yeah. We'll be banging that in the back of the van tomorrow morning, because that's actually sat in front of Jordan's van at the moment.
Right.
So, but yeah, Sean said that he wanted it, so we'll take that up the farm tomorrow. But it's as soon as they've got that out of the garden completely, the garden's it's opened up. Well, it would have done anyway, because you've got a bloody great meter cube square sat there. But with the little bit of framework that I've put in, you can now start to see what it is I'm gonna create on that side to replace that. But in a lot of respects, I'm going to be going back to my roots, as in the start of the channel. It was all about the pond that I made out the front with bits of broken slab and soil, which worked absolutely awesome. So in the spirit of that, I am going to use what I've got around me. I am going to have to buy a couple of bits. I'm going to have to buy some tank connectors, some bits of rubber and some silicone. But other than that, I am literally, I say other than that, sand and cement. But then I'm going to literally use what I've got to hand. So whether it's a block, brick, bits of broken slab, the whole pond itself and the settlement chamber is going to be built with what I can get to hand, just to show that it can be done out of whatever. I mean, you can't really see it on the Tosai tank. Yeah, that was a mixture of, on the bottom, concrete block, brick and flint, and then the walls are recycled bricks. But you can't see it because it's all hidden away behind the filters. So yeah, the plan is to show again that you can build a pond out of pretty much anything, as long as you think it through. Isn't that right, Rick?
Doing it for years, mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, got to be done, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and when you actually see the ponds and stuff on the farm, a lot of the ponds that are holding a lot of water back haven't even got any mechanical holding it together. You know what I mean? There's no sand and cement. There's nothing mechanical there to stop it from moving.
Well, yeah, they're built either staked or built in a way there's not much pressure on the walls. So, yeah. If there's only temporary in it, it's just literally somewhere to hold water for a period of time to raise whatever you need to raise, be it a hole in the ground or some blocks around a hole in the ground or whatever we got to hand. But in an ideal world, nice, neat, new blocks and concrete, everything in place. It's ideal. But then you find you've got to move something or change something, you got to smash it all back down again, haven't you? So
yeah, definitely. We take them to drop them down for a minute. Here we go.
they're all big
There we
now.
go. That's
Oh,
better.
I was enjoying watching them.
Mate, honestly, it got dark last night when I was tidying up, and I think I spent more time scooched down looking through that window than I did moving and tidying up the fucking rubble and the slab and everything.
Got to enjoy them, mate, didn't you? If you don't enjoy them, then
Oh, mate.
They are time wasters, aren't they?
Oh,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got the window aspect with the toe side tank, but with the fact that the pond is running on that drum that's no longer running on bypass, it changes the way it looks through the glass completely. And it's yeah. I always said I didn't want a window on my main pond, but I tell you what, I'm fucking glad I have now.
Yeah,
You've got a brand new clean window and sparkly clear water, so it works nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Come midsummer, when you've got a green window and water that's perhaps not as clear, it doesn't look quite so good, does it? That's the challenge, isn't it? Keeping it looking mint.
Yeah, but with the biofiltration that I've set up, once it's fully mature, it should be pretty bomb-proof in that respect, shouldn't it?
Should, but green water's, don't know, has a habit of popping up sometimes.
Oh yeah, and I'm
green,
under
your glass is going to go green as soon as that sun decides to come out.
the glass going green isn't a problem, because by the time it comes to cleaning that, the water will be a hell of a lot warmer. I don't worry about the glass on the toe side tank till about March, because it's covered up with a bit of fucking bit of polystyrene stuff.
Fair enough.
So, what have you been up to this week?
What's the cat's
Ty?
name?
Oh, this is Yumi.
Yumi.
Yeah,
Dream in Japanese.
Yeah.
There you
She's a
go.
tortoiseshell cat, and apparently they're lucky in Japan. So I don't know how lucky she is. She's kind of mean to everybody.
Cats, isn't it? Nice.
So, have you been up to much koi-wise this week, Ty?
Okay. Ugh. Not a lot. I've kind of just been watching the fish in the stock tank a little bit. I think I need to get some more water, like surface agitation or something. They're also shy and hide all day. They only seem to come out at night. It's weird.
Is that system heated?
It was heated. And I started looking at my power bill and went, I can't keep doing this.
We've all been there.
I was feeding them pretty good while I had it heated, but I've had the heat on for like a week now. Water temperature's down to 46 degrees. What is that in Celsius? Somebody in the comments figure that out.
Yeah, because I don't know. I can't.
I don't know either.
I want to say about 10 degrees, but don't know.
That sounds about right. So, anyways, yeah, they're just doing their thing now. But it's still warm enough. The plants will be all right.
So, even though you've got it in like a greenhouse that you've made now, is there no way of actually covering the top? Because if you can cover the top, being inside a enclosure, it should hold the water a lot better. 7.7 degrees.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of doing that, but you're right. Yeah, I do have a way I can cover it up.
Because that's something you're considering in the polytunnels as well, isn't it, Rick?
What does that cover? Well, we do cover some of them. Depends if you put. It only works if you're putting heat in. You're not going to gain any heat. But if you're heating up and you cover them, so you've got two covers, you'll gain or lose a lot less heat. But if you're not putting any heat in, you're not really going to gain anything either.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you are considering making some small polytunnels to go over the new pools in the new polytunnel, aren't you? To try and
they will be,
capitalize.
but that's going to for trapping the heat from the sun coming in, and B, from the big reflectors I'm putting in. So it's just literally trying to create a second polytunnel in the first polytunnel that just traps everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, I think we'll probably gain 10 degrees above ambient doing that. That's my aim.
Well, it was fairly warm in there on Friday, wasn't it? And
yeah, the problem with polytunnels, a lot of people get the mistake. So you put a polytunnel up, and when the sun comes out, the air temperature in ours was 20 when it was still frozen outside. We had 20 degree air temperature inside, but that air temperature doesn't heat the water up very well. So it's only when you get the direct solar radiation coming into the ponds that you get that big gain. And at the moment, the sun's so low, it barely hits the ponds. It doesn't work very well. But as the spring goes on, the sun in the sky is a bit higher. You get more direct radiation from the sun actually hitting the water and going into the pond, and then you'll see your temperature come up. But with the reflector idea, the way it's set up, I'll be able to double my solar radiation continually until the point where it's getting too hot, and actually then it'll start acting as a shade. So I'll actually cool it in the summer, whereas it will heat it in the spring without me doing anything, which is ideal because I don't want to do anything. There's too much to do all the time. So if we can make it, so I reckon they'll run for most of the spring at 20 degrees, and then as they start getting too hot, actually those will start acting as shades as the sun gets higher. Yeah, and keep the temperature a bit lower, and still 25 degrees should be about right. Otherwise they get too high in the summer. The tanks in the polytunnels will hit 35, 40 degrees, and that's not good.
No, it's not. So, because the higher the temperature, the quicker the ammonia levels and everything become toxic, isn't it?
Not so. It's just really the oxygen at that sort of temperature. You're pushing the boundaries of cooking them and deoxygenating them. Yeah, and they're trying to they're almost young fish trying to go too fast. You can't put enough food into them, and
it's like a Arkham's razor or whatever it is, isn't it? Where you're always balancing.
Yeah, I mean, if you could set all the young koi ponds, if we could have them all running at 30 degrees, be banging. They grow like wildfire. Everything's happy. Everything works. But it's just a balance in it. To run that is so expensive when you're using heat pumps and coolers. Yeah. The more we can do it with natural shades and reflectors, the better, isn't it?
Talking about heat pumps, how's your one looking in the Munger tunnel?
I think Matt's done. You can change the settings on them so it defrosts faster. The problem is the one in the Munger tunnel. If the air's going in at 5 degrees, I reckon I'm getting 1-to-1 conversion out of it. Yeah. When it goes up to 10 degrees, I'm getting 7-to-1 out of it. The difference is massive. So when the air temperature comes up in the polytunnel, those few degrees, the water the way the heat pump works is so much more effective that my tanks they're down to 13 this morning. Yeah, if I had probably 3 or 4 more degree heat in the air in the tunnel, they'd be running at 25. Yeah, the difference is massive. But that's the problem with heat pumps. They've got quite narrow windows when they're super effective or not. Yeah, it's just dropping in, and I think it's a bit of a double whammy because the hot water in there or the warm water, it makes it the air must be 100% humidity all the time, so that the air pump's freezing up faster. There's a lot more water in the air, taking that slightly warmer air, but it's very moist air, and then it freezing it up quicker. So yeah, it spends half its life when it's cold defrosting.
Yeah, I know. Friday, I mean, literally the metal on, you know, the old real cable extension cables sat on top of the heating, and literally the metal was fucking frozen.
The whole thing just becomes a block of ice, doesn't it? But it's even colder outside. I mean, it's pumping out. I don't know what the air must be. Air must be -5 or whatever. It's pushing out.
Oh yeah.
So it's a lot more. It's a lot more efficient being in there. But it's once it starts dropping below freezing outside, the polytunnel air temperature drops to sort of 5 degrees, and then the whole thing becomes less efficient.
And the Munger tunnel is fairly shaded anyway, which doesn't help either, does it?
Well, this time we're not getting enough sun. It's not high enough to really. The day length and the angle of the sun isn't very good anywhere. Yeah. So, but yeah, where it's sighted, it's not ideal. But you do what you do, don't you? It's come summer, it's perfect. But yeah, the few trees. It doesn't take a lot of trees on the horizon to stop that sun directly hitting where you want it to.
Yeah.
So unless I go out with a chainsaw and take all the trees down on the horizon. That's where we are.
Need it for the log burner, Rick.
We might need it. Yeah, that big log burner's chewing up some wood.
Chewing up some. The new log burner that's in the shop at the farm. It at the moment it's going through a wheelbarrow full of logs every sort of hour and a half.
Yeah, we need a bit of tweaking with it, and this year's a bit of an experiment with it. But we still got every pond in the shop's running at 10 degrees, whereas everything outside would either have a lid on it or frozen. So it's quite a lot above, and they're fishing much happier in there. But obviously, we're using more wood. We're not getting the best from it yet.
Yeah,
a bit more installation work, a bit more sealing it up, but yeah.
Now, if you go take out that tree line, your wood burning stove will be good to go.
Yeah, that's full of. We've got plenty. There won't be many trees left where we are, but it's amazing the site. I don't know what say 20 acres or whatever, but the trees that grow. I think the ground's so rich, obviously, where the ponds, the trees have always got nutrients that certain types of tree just grow. Like we go round, it's like you continue to go around chopping them down, and by the time you got around the site where you started 4 years ago, you've now got 30-foot, 40-foot trees again, and it's just a continual almost process. But it's certain trees, willows and ash, just go mad, absolutely mad. They're actually quite good trees for a year drying, and then off they go.
The only problem is when it gets chopped up, Sean the boss chops it a certain size every time to stop him from nicking it and taking it home for his fire.
Yeah, I've got a log burner at home, but I've got quite a small one. So he always makes sure he cuts it just too big. He's got we've all got log burners, so his is bigger than mine, and he can fit in logs of a certain size. So yeah, he chainsaws everything up when we're doing all the big jobs, and it's always just too big. It's life. It's only for a few months we really need it, isn't it?
We got a question here for you from Big George. I'm in between colours of chag, olive or caramel, non-Ginrin. Which would you guys recommend, or what is your favourite colour?
I have a green shigoi. I think it's unique. It's cool. You don't see green in fish or in koi. I can't think of other fish that have any green in them other than shags. That's my vote. Which fish?
Midori is a green fish.
Oh yeah.
Different sort of green, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the olivey ones realistically, Hirasawa's about the only farm that does the olivey ones as their consistent sort of bloodline. They do look, they're quite nice. I mean, I do like those ones, but they do need good, being a single colour fish anyway.
Yeah.
I think that I personally prefer the more orangey, yellowy, crashigoy sort of type colours, just because you tend to have less shimmy problems. The chocolatey, but the darker ones you get can look amazing, but they're so much more prone to shimmies.
Yeah.
And with that sumi coming up, that it just ruins them. So certainly from our point of view, the more yellowy, caramelly coloured ones are a much safer bet in terms of growing them out and not developing those spots that just ruin them. But
Is that from a sale perspective, or is that a personal taste perspective?
Bit of both. I mean, a good sort of chocolatey coloured one is probably the nicest looking one, but you see so few. I see so many bad ones that it's, if you've got room in your pond for one chagoy, you don't want to grow up to 70 centimetres for it to then be a black spots and look horrible. So
yeah, definitely.
It's a sort of safe bet. It's a safer bet, isn't it?
Well, George is going to be getting it from you, he says.
He's getting it from us, and it's bound to be a more caramel colour one because they're the only ones we really do.
Well, we haven't. There wasn't any. I'd say possibly one or two actual olive ones that were seen when we went through them. Like I say, most of them were chocolate through to almost yellow, weren't they?
Yeah, well, we used to do a lot more of the olivey coloured ones when we used to hear Hirasawa parents, but yeah, they're very the colours, and then when you breed them, they are just so similar, and there's not a lot of variation. So from a sales point of view, you haven't got a lot of different variants of colour, shape, shades for people to appreciate. And because it's like anything, if you've got a vat of good kahakus and you've got 200 of them, they're a lot harder to sell if that's all you've got and you've just got lots of one variety. It's just the more types and colours and shades you can put in stuff and scarification, and you chuck Gimrin and metallic in the mix and whatever. But yeah, to be fair, it depends what he wants from the chago. I mean, if you want one that's going to go 90 cm and have a nice shape to it, the Hirasawa ones are pretty safe bets. You know, those olive ones, they get big. They tend to keep quite a nice sort of torpedo type shape to them without getting super fat and crazy funny shapes or whatever. So
yeah, just still got that nice body line.
Yeah, they almost like the grass carpy type shape in it, just that real long. They're still really quite wide, but they haven't got silly depth to them or whatever.
Yeah.
Where we mix up Deutz, we mix up so much stuff to get that variation. The body types of ours are all over the place. So, you've got to be much more selective about what you pick. If you want to grow big and nice, you've got to make sure you're picking one with the right bone structure to do it. Because a lot of the Deutz ones will go really sort of deep or too wide, or there's different. Depending on what you want the outcome to be, doesn't it? If George is up in Scotland, if he's not heated, he ain't going to grow a chagoy to 90 centimetres. So he's probably looking for something appealing colour rather than perhaps massive growth.
Yeah. Afternoon, Jack.
Morning, sir.
Hi, Jack.
Afternoon. Where's Jack of his morning?
Jack, whereabouts are you then?
I'm near St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
Long way away.
Yes, sir, it sure is.
So are you new to koi keeping, or have you been keeping koi for a while?
I used to own a bait shop years ago and got out of it, and I'm starting to get back into it. and I'm going to start building my pond at my farm this summer, the spring. And
what sort of size are you going to be looking at? I know you're going to go down the route that most Americans go with the rocks and stuff in the pond, or are you going to go for more of a in and out of the pond with a window sort of thing?
no, I'm going to go round.
You're going round.
Yeah, I'm wanting mainly Surrey because I love the colors.
Yeah.
And the only thing got me stopped on buying them right now is because of what you guys talking about, the colors. I don't like them losing their colors. You know, that's really the only thing that's got me scared about getting into them. That's the reason why I'm trying to find out more information about them. And
No,
does that make sense?
I've always found you've got to find the right one, because when they get bigger, I find if you haven't got the right genetics in it, they then start becoming all speckly and look like a rotten tomato.
Yeah, that's a quality. There's really, to be honest about it, there's only really 2 farms in Japan. If you're wanting to buy good quality here at Surrey, there's probably only really 2 places you'd be going to buy from. And yeah, so they're generally here at Surrey. They tend to be very good at keeping their colour. Longevity's good, so yeah, you can keep them 20 years and they'll still look orange and black, red and black, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
Colour. The belly on them is pretty stable. Little seamy spots do occur on them, but in a big pond growing them out, they still look pretty impressive.
Well, I got a liner. My liner is 100 by 75. So
Is that feet or meters?
feet.
So yeah, it's gonna be a fair sized pond. But yeah, if here at series or something, just one variety you're really mad on, realistically, Shinoda's probably the one breeder in Japan to get them from, and you can grow them. Yeah, obviously the size of the fish you buy is the quality is going to reflect the price, and obviously the size you buy them is going to reflect the price. So depends if you want 50 in your pond or 5.
I was not going to spend a ton of money on it. I don't want a bunch. I just want a few for right now, and slowly work my way up because, I'm getting old and got to watch my money.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to buy, sort of 5 or 6 Tosai here at Surrey from Shinoda, from one of the importers in America that, I don't know, what might be $150 each. They shouldn't be too much. It's not cheap, but obviously long term, those fish will make big fish, and good fish. So if that, but you've got to build your pond first.
Oh, I know. I know that. It's not going to be that much of a problem building it.
What sort of filtration are you thinking of putting on it? And I take it, with it being circular, it's going to be in ground.
Yeah, I was thinking in ground, and then drum filter, bio filter, and then shower.
Right. So don't usually see drum filters going on American ponds.
I'm not typical. I'm trying to do stuff that I want water like what you guys are producing over there. Because, you see American ponds, they're kind of greenish and stuff, but yours is all clear. I mean, they're stunning.
Yeah, but you can still get a clear pond without using a drum.
The problem will lie in if your ponds, if you build a big pond because you've got space, then the filtration needs to be doubled up or trebled up to cope with the water volume. So I think in the UK you see a lot of smaller space isn't our best point, perhaps. So we have a lot of smaller ponds that are run and managed very well. And then once you start getting the space and you want a bigger pond, suddenly you've got to double the amount of filtration or treble the amount of filtration to get the same level of water clarity and quality. That costs buying the filtration, and you then got to be pushing a lot more water, so your running costs go up as well. So sometimes a smaller pond, a 10-ton pond or 2,500 gallon pond is a lot easier to manage than a 10,000 gallon pond or a 50,000. Every time you step up, obviously everything increases.
Yeah.
3-4
running
fold.
costs.
So
treatments for parasites.
Yeah, I think that's not such a problem. But yeah, to get a consistent water quality, clarity and quality you want, if you want it that sparkly clear water, the bigger you go, the harder that becomes. So yeah, sometimes small is a lot easier to manage.
Yeah.
And you can still grow if you a smaller pond run right, you'll still be able to grow koi massive and appreciate them and such like. It's that balance. It's too easy.
Is that why you usually recommend sort of like 2,500, 3,000 gallons for a pond?
Is that what?
Is that one of the reasons why you advise a pond of, say, average for an average pond be sort of like 2,500 gallons, or tipping 3,000 being the sort of like a nice sort of spot to hit and still be able to maintain?
I think a pond of that sort of size, you can get away with a single bottom drain, one pump running it, a single drum. You can maintain mint water quality and clarity with a pond of that sort of surface area and volume fairly easily. But yeah, the minute you go up to 6,000 gallon pond, you're then probably having to run 2 lots of everything.
Yeah,
you've just doubled. You for what you gain for that. Yes, you've got more space. You might take a better grow the fish a tiny bit bigger, or have a few more fish. But in reality, it's a lot more investment money and running costs for not. You don't double the gain, but you double the cost.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Maybe. But yeah, it's difficult. We have a lot of customers and whatever, and because they got the space, they build ponds bigger than, because they got the space, they just build the pond big, and then the reality of that is suddenly it's a lot more difficult to achieve what they want with the water in that surface area and that space. So yeah, if you've not started building a pond and you've got a budget in mind for your filtration, you're probably better off working out what gear you're going to buy and have and can afford to run, and build the pond to suit that budget, rather than digging a hole and putting a liner in and then going, I want it. Shit, I've got to buy more and more and more, and it just starts escalating. If you've got a $10,000 budget on all your filtration and line, you can start working out, well, actually, if I build it this big and buy this gear, and it's going to cost me this amount to run every year, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
But you got Wiccan Coy in the comments, and he's over in America, and he says, best thing I have figured out in Oklahoma is a Tempest type filter gives him clearer water. So basically like a homemade upflow filter.
They don't have the clay we have here in Missouri, though.
You'd be surprised. They are the upflow filter. It does, if you've got the right amount of flow going through it, it does trap a hell of a lot of shit. That's for sure.
But
something to consider.
About the clay, obviously you're putting a liner in the pond, so unless you're putting clay in it or whatever, it shouldn't make any difference, should it? Unless your water source has got clay in it. I don't know.
Jack, in my local pond club, I I've been a part of it for a long time. I was part of it for 4 years before I even started building my pond. The one thing everybody kept telling me is build it way bigger than you think you want it to be.
Yeah,
And I thought I did that. So I built a 6,000 gallon pond. Every day when I look at it, at the time when I first started building it, I thought, oh my gosh, this thing is massive. But every day when I look at it now, I'm like, yeah, I could have been a little bit bigger.
yeah, it's one of those. Like, a lot of people say build it bigger, but obviously the bigger you go, if you've got a 6,000 gallon pond, how much turnover, how much is it costing you to run to keep it as you want it?
Well, right now my pumps are turned all the way down pretty much, but I have two 7,000 gallon pumps, so I can do 14,000 gallons an hour if everything's running all out.
Yeah.
Those are 240 volt pumps, which I think is just what you guys use over in the UK standard for everything. But
Yeah.
Do you know
I
the
ended up
what?
getting those just for the energy efficiency. So those two pumps both together only pull 4 amps, which if I was using a 120 volt pump to do the same thing, I'd be pulling like 8 or 10 amps to do that. So the
Why don't
power,
you guys
you
use
know,
the Venturi system?
Say
Have
again,
you
mate.
ever- why
the
don't you
Venturi
guys
system?
the Venturi system? Because I used to
We
use
do-
that
we
when
do
I had
on
my
the farm.
workshop.
We use Venturis on some of the ponds in the shops and whatever, but it's one of those. You've got to restrict the flow to get it to draw in the air into the Venturi. So you sort of game with one hand. You're limited as to where you can put the return because it's got to be nearer the surface and whatever. But yeah, they've got their places.
Yeah.
Not a problem. But yeah, I think I don't know what your power, what you pay for electricity and whatever, you might find that, you know, we're paying now, I think it's about 30 pence for every kilowatt hour sort of usage. So on the farm, I think we did 10 kilowatts. So we're already on £3 an hour just running electric on the farm, and obviously that escalates up rapidly. So obviously, the more stuff you've got running, you know, we go to some people's koi ponds, and you know they're running multiple water pumps, air pumps, ultraviolet systems, ozone units, all sorts of stuff going on, and it's all, you know, can be running 2 kilowatts on one pond. And
Yeah.
that becomes a really hefty bill all the time when money's not so good. That's quite a big outlay. But on the other flip side of it, we're running Vince's pond on the farm. It runs at 40 watts. So which is that's such a small amount of money. It's nothing. So you can achieve not the same thing, but similar things with completely different amounts of money being spent, depending on how you're set up. Yeah, simple things like I say, set up where you're getting the best of the sunlight to get your temperatures up. If you can use polytunnels, shades, reflectors, low wattage pumps, there's lots of things you do. And obviously, when you build the pond, if that's all in your mind when you build it, then you'll create a pond that costs a lot less to run in the long term.
Yeah.
Well, see, I got well water, and so the water don't cost me nothing. It comes out at 68, so I can pretty much change water at any time and have it at 68 degrees.
Right. Yeah. I mean, from that point of view, that's, you know, a massive bonus, isn't it? You can just, you know, if that water's suitable straight out the ground, you probably find you could almost continually just flush water through. I mean, there's places where you have no filtration; they'll just use groundwater and literally continually flow it through the pond, just flush in, flush out. You're not using filters or whatever. But if you're lucky enough to have copious amounts of good quality free water, then yeah, you're ahead of some people.
Got a question here. What are your thoughts on L-shaped ponds?
you're always going to have dead spots. So it's just obviously getting the flow. Generally, with an L-shaped pond, you'll probably still flow from one end and drain from the other. So you've got kind of a continual movement of water. But yeah, you'll get the water will eddy up as it goes around corners. So you'll have a couple of areas that may collect a bit of debris and whatever. But
I
it's
feel
not
like
probably.
you need to put some returns in some strategic places.
Yeah, you can
Want
do
to
that.
avoid getting dead spots.
There's things, and at the end of the day, it's not the worst in the world. If you've got a space, you can only have an L-shaped pond, then
you work around it.
Work around it. You have an L-shaped pond, and you realise that it might not be as efficient as a circular pond where you can spin it and down a drain and everything goes down. But yeah,
well, yeah, because you could work around that with if you had your return, say, just for instance, like on the one end with a shower with a base that sloped down and then into the bottom of the L the other side with an air curtain underneath the shower return, you'd pretty much shove everything down towards the other end of the L, wouldn't you? You see what I mean?
You'd want the air curtain at the opposite end where your drain is. If you were going to do that, so you'll be basically you want to be pulling the bottom of the pond towards the drain and taking the opposite, so you just pull it. But there's stuff you can do, and at the end of the day, it's an L-shaped pond. If that's the space you got, you can make it work.
Yeah,
no problem at all. I wouldn't. If you had a blank canvas and you're building the perfect, easy to maintain koi pond, you wouldn't build an L-shaped or a funny shaped pond because it just makes your life a bit harder. But if that's the shape you've got to work with, be it your garden or be it that's what you got, it's fine.
Yeah, Dan at Sharpie School, he's got an L-shaped one, hasn't he? And I know he's had a few problems with that.
Yeah, but he's moved pumps and that now, and you're always going to get dead spots when you're pump feeding on a shape like that anyway, unless you strategically place air stones. There are ways around every aspect. But going back to what Rick was saying, that's the plan with the new pond, is to literally run it on one of those 40-watt pumps.
Yeah.
Your new pond?
Yeah, the one that's going to replace the IBC. I'm going to build it with what I've got round me, and then I'm going to run it on one of those 40-watt pumps just to show what can be achieved.
There's a big difference between having a grow on or a little system for growing fish and keeping the water in the realms you need it to grow fish, where you can do it with a little pump and whatever, as opposed to having an ornamental pond that you want looking sparkling.
Yes.
To do that, you would need greater flows, introduce ultraviolet, other stuff. So that there is a difference between your meter cube growing on that in the shed or whatever that's got a specific quarantine and growing whatever, as opposed to a display pond that you want it to look gin clear water and sparkly and everything else. So yeah, and again, that's what you want to achieve from what bit of water you're using.
Yeah. So, and not only that, the cheaper it runs, the better it is for me, because then I can turn the SOS heat pump back up. But no, in all honesty, the way that the IBC tank was running, I had to have 2 air pumps running. Well, now with the new pond, I can get shot of an air pump, and then I've got 1 air pump to run 2 systems. So you're looking I don't know what wattage the air pump is, but once both systems are up and running, the 2 pumps are going to be no more than 100 watts between them.
Yeah, but the one you've got that we've got running at the farm of yours, you don't to be there's air is only in there as a backup if we have a problem with power. It doesn't need enough air going in. So 40 watts is running that perfectly adequately because every bit of water you got returning in is being aerated naturally on its way in. So the air stones are a belt and braces to. Well, we've got air running there for mine, but yeah, they don't need it.
Yeah, it's literally like say just belt and braces just in case. But yeah, it's going to be running on 40 watts power, and I'm going to build it with whatever I've got to hand, whatever I can scavenge from the farm. No, I've got all the building materials here that I need, other than the sand and cement. So yeah, as soon as I've got the sand and cement, I'll start construction. And as always, I'll document it, good, bad, and ugly.
So, Ty, your pond, your 6,000 gallon pond, you say you got two pumps running on there. What else? Mm-hmm. What sort of system you got going on there?
So I have a skimmer. I have 3 bottom drains. And those get fed into rotary drum filter. Then they come to the pumps, and those get split into 2 places. One feeds some of the returns and also puts water into my moving bed filter. The other pump pumps the water all the way up to the top of my pump room, where it goes down 3 trickle towers, as well as an upflow thing. I was trying to create a gravity-fed practitioner, but I didn't calculate all that very well. So now it's just an upflow filter.
Right. But that's quite a common setup you'd see here on a koi keeper's pond here. That small, the kind of setup that's quite commonplace when you're building ponds. I suppose around Europe.
I got a lot of inspiration from y'all when I started building it.
Right.
Hey, how's your waterfall doing? How's your new waterfall? Yeah.
Yeah, Popeye
sorry.
soap.
The Popeye soap one.
Yeah.
Doing good. I thought you were talking about a big pond. Like they're all turned off right now. Oh, that little waterfall. It's doing a good job. I was impressed with it as a product. I think for smaller pond applications, it's a good little waterfall box. Rick, have you gotten a chance to set yours up yet?
No, I haven't received mine yet.
Or, I'm sorry, Vince. I meant Vince.
No, I haven't received mine yet, but I've been assured that it should arrive in the next week or so.
Okay.
I've still got to finalize the Glorium video as well for that one. But yeah, I just want to answer one of Gaz says here. Why not just lose the last pond altogether, Vince? If it's not really an added expense. I just want it to run as cheaply as possible. And my front pond ran on an air pump that was more than 40 watts an hour. So I'm not going to be using airlifts. I'm going to be using an electric pump, but the electric pump is still going to be running a hell of a lot cheaper than what an air pump and a pump would be, if that makes any sense. And we've got Simon's talking about Evolution Aqua and Chinese pumps.
So when do you guys expect to get everything done down at the farm?
Never ending.
Yeah.
I like your polytunnels.
Yeah, we got polytunnels. Got 2 more to go up next week. So we're but yeah. It's basically we've got 4 or 5 weeks to get all those kind of jobs done before we go into new season of getting the fry ponds ready, breeding. So all of those kind of works stop. So what we haven't got polytunnels and what we haven't done almost gets left to the next winter, because there just won't be enough time to get the necessary stuff done, to get all the ponds prepared, get all the phytoplankton going for the fry, get the broodstock ready. It's just, yeah,
it becomes very hectic, doesn't it, once you start hitting sort of like March?
Yeah. It's time, and you can't. The fry ponds have got to be cleaned out, sterilised, refilled, and fertilised in a certain sort of sequence. So when we're doing spawnings, we've got ponds coming good. It takes, in March, it probably takes 6 to 8 weeks for a fry pond to be ready. But as you go through April, May, your time gets shorter. The temperatures come up, the light levels come up, so the fry ponds come good faster and faster. But obviously, there's only so many fish you can spawn and get the fry ready. So it's quite a sequence of do this, drain that.
Is that your favorite time of the year, though?
For me, yeah, definitely getting the fish bred and out successfully and watching them. Yeah, late spring through to autumn, you just see the fruits you harvest. It's if you can get the right parent combinations and get good offspring and see how those fry develop, and normally by August you've got a good idea of the level and quality you've got from the parent sets, the numbers and everything else. So it does come down to how well we do and how the environment is. Springs in this country are shocking. So you can have April, you can have 2 weeks of really hot, nice, sunny weather, and everything's going lovely, and then it will just freeze and it will just go cold again, too cold.
Yeah.
You can't. The hatcheries will be full of fish. You can't move out because the water temperatures drop too low in all the fry ponds, and you just get. It's always a balance, and it gets too hot in the summer to do it. So you've got quite a narrow window. If you do it too early and you get caught with everything and you can't put them out, it's detrimental to everything. If you do it too late to be safe, then you lose invaluable. You can lose 4 or 5 weeks of your growing season, and that's when you've got such a short window. Naturally, once you get the fish to a certain size, you can move them into heated facilities or recirc systems and ponds. It's not such a problem. But when their first 8 weeks of life is all in sort of nature's hands,
At the same time, this year, are you going to go belt and braces and make sure you've got plenty of Artemia before you start spawnings?
We had plenty last year. It's just you just go through it. But the problem is it's £1,000 a box. So as much as I'd say to the boss, well, in March let's buy £5,000 worth, he'll be like, well, I don't want to spend that much money on this. We need to buy this, and this. So we just get 2 boxes or whatever. It's like anything. If we had unlimited funds, then we'd have 10 boxes of Artemia waiting spare. We'd have all the food manufacturers waiting spare. We'd have all the liners and all the everything. But this,
I understand that. But I mean, last year, the Artemia delivery not being there on time for that longer period of time did actually cause you problems on the farm, though, didn't it?
It did, but that was the third and fourth delivery that was delayed. So we'd already had 2 in by then, no problem at all. And suddenly, so you've got a time scale in it. You order it, and in 10 days you've got it. So 20 days before you need it, you order it. It gives yourself a 10-day buffer to suddenly get it all held at customs for no apparent reason. Still enough time to order some more, and then that gets held at customs for a different reason. It's just one of those. So we had £2,000 worth of shrimp sat at customs for paperwork, just nonsense. It happens. yeah, in an ideal world, loads.
At the same time, though, it did give you an insight into the way the Deutsch fish develop, didn't you? With the fact that the temperature difference and that has affected them, in the fact that the ones that were kept in the tunnel, you got a lot of aragoki from, but the ones that went out to the pond, to the natural food, but cooler waters, all came out more like leather carp.
Yeah, we'd have seen it to some degree anyway. But yeah, the problem was fish went out a few days earlier than we'd normally want to have put them out. That was the big issue. And although we got away with it, we might not have done. When they go out onto live food, it's such a narrow window when the food's the right size, and it's in an ideal world you just have everything there, and you move it the day you want to move it. But we don't live in an ideal world, do we? That's just
No.
I thought carp were vegetarians, not live food.
No. So basically, all carp fry, they hunt by sight when they first hatch, and they'll only eat fish stuff that's moving. So that's why you have to use live shrimp and rotifers, Daphne or whatever. So, but they got the size of their mouth, they will only be able to take certain food items. So we can prepare a pond and get the green water, the phytoplankton to go boom, and then the rotifers and the Daphne all start to eat that. But you have quite a narrow window depending on the size of the fry and the size of the food. So the pond can be absolutely buzzing with live food, but it can be just too big for them. So you can put out 10,000 fish, and they literally 1,000 of them might fly and 9,000 starve because the food's just that bit too big for them at that point. You get that if you'd moved them 2 days earlier, you may maybe keep 9,000 of the fish all fly because the food's in its Artemia is our buffer because we can hatch that daily, and it's always small enough for them to eat, so we can feed them as much as they want and get them a bit bigger, and it gives us the window when we can move them out to get the best success from the ponds. But yeah, they're super. The way they hunt, and they become really cannibalistic when they're very young because they're hunting by sight. They've got no sense of smell. It's not like they're scavenging around in the bottom. They are literally, for the first sort of 4 weeks, just hitting things in the water column and moving.
Yeah.
So that's their
I just
diet.
learned something I didn't know. So
Yeah, once they get suddenly to about an inch, they just become omnivores. They'll eat anything. They start eating and eating, and but yeah, so there's always that magic point when they're young. If you could put a powdered food in, that go from live food to sort of the dry diets is probably the hardest thing. And also, if you rear fish out in natural ponds, you don't do that. By the time you harvest them, they're big enough and they'll be eating whatever. But when you do it in a commercial, intensive way, you've got a limited amount of time. The Artemia, they eat so much every day. They eat the amount. So say we hatch enough for 5 shrimp per fry on the first day. 2 weeks in the tunnel, they're eating 5,000 shrimps a day per fish, and you just suddenly you can only hatch enough to a point, and then you're not hatching enough for everything to get as much as it wants to grow. So some will start growing faster than others because they're getting the food faster. They grow a bit, they'll turn around and eat their smaller siblings. They grow a bit more, and before you know it, your 100,000 fish are down to 1,000 big ugly ones that have just rampaged on. So if you get things perfect, you will keep every single fish at a nice even size right the way through. But the moment the environment, the food availability, whatever it is a bit off, you'll get splits. And as soon as you get those splits, then it all goes a bit pear-shaped.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the clear ones and the black ones at the fry?
So what you class as sort of black-based varieties, so your Showa, Shiratsuri, Hiatsuri, they're all black fish with patterns. So when they hatch, the black fry are those black Shirazuri, whatever. So they're the ones that you want to keep. They tend to grow slower than the white fry. So again, if you try and rear them all together, and some people get away with it, but if you put them all in the pond together, the white base ones will grow faster, dominate the pond. And if you take Shirazuri, for example, they basically are all plain white Shiramuji. They don't develop sumi. They are just off-white fish. So the quicker you get the black fry separated and give them the best environment you can, the better success rate you'll have with the fish you want. So on one hand, they're easier to do because you can reduce your numbers of fry quite quickly and give them a good environment, but it's incredibly time-consuming work. So a big farm in Japan might have 30 people every day with the little siphons splitting the fry from a Showa batch or whatever, so they can get all the black ones. We've tried it with students and whatever. It just doesn't work. It's quite a skilled, boring job.
Yes.
So it's yeah. So the more some varieties like that, so you can split, and obviously all of those black fry become black and white. So from a Shirazuri spawning, those black fry, if you can get them split and then growing, they all start to have a commercial value because they're all patterned fish, whereas the white ones have no commercial value because you just can't sell off-white fish basically. So there's certain varieties, but that's only with the black-based varieties. You know, you say your Kahaku and whatever, they all hatch like an orangey white color, and you've got to grow them all up to a size, and it takes someone who's 60 to 90 days for them to start showing a two-tone pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to grow 100,000 fish to then just pick out the 1,000, 2,000 that have got nice, strong, defined patterns or whatever. So you then end up with a waste product of a lot bigger fish.
Yeah.
So again, it's what you do with those. But every variety has its little oddities, as it were. Some varieties are much easier. So for us, stuff like Shishui and Asagi, they breed fairly true. They're really genetically very hardy, and the amount of sellable spring you get from a spawn of those is very high. So from a business point of view, they're really good fish to do. From a interest point of view, in terms of sort of perhaps pattern and variation, they're not so interesting. So yeah, 10,000 Asagis are 10,000 Asagis.
So if you breed two Hyoscuri, let's say, you're not going to get pure Hyoscuri out of that.
No, Hyoscuri normally hatch about 40% will be black, so that you'll get about 40% that will start life as a black fish and develop the orange pattern on top. The other 60% basically hatch plain orange, and they stay like red benigoi, or call them what you will. Plain orange fish, red benigoi, market it as you want to market it.
Red tigers.
Yeah. So that those black ones, and then obviously with the problem here at Siri, the pattern, they're one of the few that the orange and black pattern sets really quite early, and they don't change a lot. So you can grow all of your black fry up to say 3 or 4 inches long, and pick out your 1 or 2% that have got nice balanced patterns. You tend to find that a lot of very one-sided patterns, so that they're or haven't got nice head patterns or whatever the issue is with them. So they're one of those few that you can literally get to 3 or 4 inches long, pick the nice patterned ones, and just grow them on, and those patterns don't change. So if you've got a good eye when they're small, they're quite a simple. Simple's the right word, but they're one of the easier varieties then to know the ones you want to be growing on for bigger fish, for better fish, for sales, or for keeping, for whatever you want to do.
Yeah, because there is always the possibility that even though he's got two Hyoscuris, one of those might not have come from a Hyoscuri pairing, but a Showa pairing. So there is also the possibility, if he does put two Hyoscuris together, that he might end up with some Showa as well, isn't it?
Well, yeah, depending depends if you know the genetics or the origin of the fish you're spawning. But yeah, generally, normal Heatsuri, you can see high showers or Heatsuri from shower spawners do look a bit different. But
Right.
essentially, you could, have a fish that you think is Heatsuri, but it's got shower blood in it or whatever. But in reality, if you go into basics, you've got 2 Heatsuri, you've only got the two colors in the genetics. You literally, that's all you're going to get. So you breed them. The orange ones are all orange. Your black based ones all develop orange pattern. You just keep the black ones, grow them to a point, and they show their patterns quite early doors. Like I say, 3 or 4 inches, you'll be able to pick out your best 10%, grow them on a bit, and they don't change. Whereas Shiratsuris change massively. The Sumi patterns change all over the place, develop, come, go, do different things. The Heatsuri don't. And I don't.
Right.
I don't
Hey,
know why.
Vince, how's your
Why is that? Then?
Why is it? I don't know why.
Yeah. Why is that?
The Heatsuri is a much older, it's a much stronger line, perhaps less inbred, much purer. Whereas the Shiros and Showas are pretty well from the same place. I think the Heatsuris are probably one of the more original lines. And if you're getting them from one of the farms that do them specifically, that pattern is just much more stable. Well, I don't know. Honestly, I think Heatsuris are the same. They don't have the same intensity as Sumi, but the patterns they have when they're little are the same patterns they have when they're big. It's not, you don't get that sort of change. Don't know. Just is. I don't question it. It is what it is, and you just work with it.
We will get some New Forest Heatsuri one day.
There's some coming about. We'll get there.
Hey, Vince, how is yours doing?
My Heatsuri, loving the new pond. Right. There you go. I've got the other phone set up out there. There we go. Main pond at 3.5 degrees.
3.5, eh? You got a couple sitting. Big Betty sitting.
Every now and then they'll sit by that skinner pipe for 10, 15 minutes, and then they'll get up and swim round.
Is there anything you can put behind your camera so there's no reflection like that? Something all black. Then you get a much nicer picture. Can you put like a bit of that black Proplex behind your camera in an arc? You'd have none of that reflection, and you'd have a much nicer. Just a point.
Oh, I'll have to grab some tomorrow then.
Just an experiment, because obviously you can see so much of what's in the reflection.
Yeah, you can see the tripod in that.
That's an amazing fish, man.
What, the Heatsuri?
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, that Heatsuri, when I bought it, only cost me £20.
Very nice.
Can be done.
The Becco seems to be the one that's sinking the most with temperatures. Yeah, tell me about it, Gaz. But yeah, I showed Stuart this morning on the old thermometer, 3.5 degrees the one's sitting at the moment. But no doubt yours is sitting lower than that, because what was it you had the other night? -12. Fucking Jesus. In England, -12, that's Scottish temperature.
Yeah, it's been that up in Scotland, isn't it?
Gaz had it in Huddersfield, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
We got 7 or 8 degrees again today. It's all right.
Like I say, for the last yesterday, you couldn't see my car for white frost, and it's all disappeared today. So the temperature's definitely come up. Just hope it doesn't snow, because you know that's usually a precursor. The temperature comes up a few degrees, and then you get a downpour of the white stuff.
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, we don't want any more of that white stuff. That was
No.
horrible.
So I'll wait till Jack comes back, but I think we will. Yeah, we had -12 only the one night, back to 5 degrees now. Hopefully more. Yeah, I fucking hope so too, mate.
Yeah,
So
here.
too.
Brutal.
I'd like to say a massive thank you for the. Gary's popped in right at the last minute. How we doing, Gary?
What's up, Gary?
Are you working on my secret project? I hope so. So, you still got snow, mate. I don't envy you at all. Don't envy you at all. Morning, Sue.
Who's that? Susan Shona?
No, it's Sue or Sue Arth 123.
Ah.
Dave,
Ah. Yeah, we still got frozen slush on our lawn.
Oh, mate, it's our frost and everything's disappeared now. I might even make mix up. No, I won't get the wicks in time. I'll have to wait till Tuesday now. But I will say, because I am getting hounded by messages and emails, there will be a specific. I did say that right, didn't I? Specific.
Yep.
There will be a specific video coming out tomorrow evening about this year's growing show with a difference.
If we get round
All
to
the
doing it.
questions will be answered then, and then everyone that has contacted me, I will return that contact with the details that you will need. Because one thing I will say, this year, unlike last year and the year before, if your name is not down on my list, then you don't get entered. Simple as.
You know what? Entered. We've got a competition going.
Yeah, go and show with difference competition, but the last 2 years they were supposed to have gone through the channel and then went to the shop directly and caused chaos because the lists didn't match, did they? We ended up with people that shouldn't have been there, and then things went tits up. So,
Well,
yeah,
there's 100 lots available. So,
yep.
Let's through your channel. You got.
Well, over. What day did we drop the video when we said about it? Wednesday. Well, since Wednesday, I've had, I think it's 12 or 13 people got in touch with me saying, "Can you put my name down? Can you put my name down?" And I haven't responded to them yet. And that is the reason. The reason why is because there is going to be a specific video coming out tomorrow evening. Dave's going to record me and Rick talking all about it.
Tomorrow.
We'll sort it tomorrow.
Oh shit!
Oh, he's forgotten the roast. I bet you.
Oh no! Smoke coming from the kitchen.
So,
He only had. He only had 2 jobs.
On this growing show.
Yeah. He only had 2 jobs: a bit of housework and cook the dinner. I bet you he's burnt.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it could be that Vader's got it in the oven and ate it.
I don't think even Vader's that intelligent.
I don't know. So,
Does the fish? A lot of the fish that are in the pond on the screen, Sue, have come from New Forest Koi Farm. Yes.
as of mine,
Some have come from other dealers and other koi farms. No, there isn't actually. I haven't got any cutbrook fish in there now. So yeah, they're all Japanese and New Forest Koi Farm. I think at the moment I'm on a 65 to 35% split. And that's 65% New Forest Koi Farm and 35% Japanese that I bought from other places.
yep, I've only got two non-New Forest Koi, and that's one from Adam Byer, the Asagi, and that one I got from World of Water. They're the only two now.
Sue's saying, does the fish come from? No, they're coming from the farm. What's going to happen is there's going to be a specific pairing done, and they'll be grown to a specific size, and then the people that have entered and paid for their fish they'll get fish, they'll get a food pack, and covers the delivery as well, and they will be coming direct from the farm itself. Because Rick will have a setup as well where he will be putting 100. So we can show you what to look for as they grow.
Yes.
That's trying to do two things at once, isn't it?
You ain't burnt the dinner, Rick.
I have burnt the dinner.
I told you.
Uh-oh.
I was making a nice leek soup, leek and onion and potato soup. It's a little bit caramelized.
But while I'm waiting for Jack to come back so we can say goodbye to everyone, there was a question here for Rick from Stu Bob. Where is it? Stuart Sharp. Question for Rick. Do you rate the use of ozone for the cost of the meat dose meter? So I think what he's asking is, what are your thoughts on ozone?
I don't think it's particularly needed or necessary for most hobbyist ponds, but it has got its place for, water disinfection. So for dealers, for importers, it's got its place.
Yeah.
For people that are trying to get something extra special out of a pond in terms of perhaps the way they're growing them or looking after certain varieties. But for your average Joe Blogs koi keeper, just an unnecessary, if it's not used properly, a proper setup costs a lot of money. So it's a big expense. And, you need to know why you're using it, what you're trying to achieve with it. So same as RO plants. And obviously it depends on your source water as to how important and what you're doing. If you're trying to raise kahakus to 90 centimeters and you've got a crap water source, then RO water is probably a necessity. You're not going to do it without it.
Yeah.
But ozone's similar thing in that you can disinfect water, you can control water with it, but it's a big expense, and probably not for 95% of people that keep fish or keep koi, but it has its places. So,
Definitely.
Yeah,
Dr. K's just come in as we're just about to say goodbye. Well, I'm going to have to say goodbye and wrap it up there so Rick doesn't kill the dinner.
I've just transferred it to a new pan.
Oh, that bad. Right. Well, on that note, we'll round this one up.
Hang on. Ty's got a question there first.
I do. So this growing show, if I was to pay for the shipping, could this become an international growing show?
No, even if you pay for the ship, we can't ship to the US
Oh, really? Shoot.
Yeah. So no. You have to do it by proxy through someone else.
All right.
Sponsor someone else to do it for you. It's just follow it, and you could you need a surrogate in this country. You can help them raise them.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Or you've come visit.
Hey, I'm gonna be there this summer.
You coming for the national?
No, I'm gonna be in France for a friend's wedding, but we're gonna spend a week in the UK.
Oh, awesome!
Good stuff.
So, yeah,
Let's
I'd
come
love to finally meet people.
Well, we're pretty close to France. There's only a little bit of water in the way.
Yeah. Now I remember you did say you was going to come over, didn't you? Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, he wants to come down the farm, Rick, for a day.
No problem.
I love that.
Got to be done.
Yeah. See, told you we'd sort you out, Ty.
I'll bring my waders. Get to work.
It was summer. We should be all right. We should be nice and dry and trainers. We can do the grading and trainers. You'll be all right.
Yeah, we did. Well, yeah. I really don't like closing off when we've got a panel member dashed off, but you've got to let Rick go, and I can hear myself being called down there. So I would like to say a massive thank you to the Leicester Spotted Ricardo for joining us today. It's been awesome having him on.
I will anytime I can, but Sundays is just a bad day. It's family day, isn't it?
Nice to have Dave on here instead of fishing. And Dave, you got no fucking excuse tomorrow morning to either be late or moan about your shoulder because you've not been fishing today.
Well, I've had a good rest, mate.
Good. Right. I'd like to say thanks for Ty, who joins me here every week. Big shout to you, mate. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Jack for joining us. An even bigger thank you to all of you out there watching. As always, guys and girls, I've been Twisted Koi. You lot out there, you know you're great. And we will see you tomorrow a few times. Have a good one.
See you tomorrow.
Cheers.